It's Friday, November 5th, and this is Den Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. I'm Dennis, and I'll be your host as we explore the latest Marvel happenings across all media, as well as the occasional off-brand superpower story, if some piques our interest. And when I say we, I'm of course referring to my distinguished collection of nerd co-hosts. First up, I think he's the only one of the bunch that didn't find a way to squeeze in Eternals, and that's fine because we talked about him not doing it, but I'm going to try really hard today to convince him to go see it. It's Frank.
Hey, it's me. Yeah, I don't want to see it because I'm a bigot. No, I'm kidding. No, I just don't want to go out in the midst of a pandemic right now.
I totally understand it. Like I I talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, and I didn't plan on doing it, but I was really feeling bad about back a week ago. I was like, no, I don't think it's being review bombed. But that's when the reviews were around 65, but then it just kept going and kept going and kept going. I don't even know, but it's rotten now. And once I saw that, I was like, something fishy's going on here, because there's no way that Marvel would just release something that bad, And so I just really wanted to go through my support because there was a lot of things going on in the movie that I really wanted to do, and I found a showing that had 4 people in it, so I was like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever." But our other person here did see it, and he's going to help me try and convince you to go see it. It's Ricky.
Heyo. I saw it early on Wednesday.
Ooh,
a whole day early. So
good job, Ricky.
It was. They didn't even take away our phones for this one. They're like, it comes out tomorrow. Yeah. Don't share it.
So is it worth getting COVID over? Something along the lines of Civil War is pretty worth getting COVID over, I think.
It was free, so.
The COVID that you got? That's awesome.
The COVID and the movie were free.
Oh, perfect.
The other thing that kind of sold me on going to see it is when Ricky said it was fun, and I was like, oh man, this is normally when he says that, that's his code word for it's not a good movie, but I had fun. And so and we were so on the opposite ends of the spectrum as far as Shang-Chi was concerned.
Yeah.
So to me, I thought if Ricky loved Shang-Chi and I did not, I was like, there's a really good chance that I'm gonna love Eternals, and that's kind of what ended up happening, man. I'm gonna put it out there. I don't necessarily think that Eternals is for everyone. I think it definitely tonally feels different than all of the other MCU movies. But I kind of really loved it because of that. Because I wanted something different, and that's what I got. I got something that was tonally more serious, a lot more drama, way less of those jokes that break the tension, which is something that Frank usually hates in the Marvel movies. So that actually made me excited because I was watching this movie take its serious scenes mostly seriously.
And
the bad jokes that are in the trailer are not in the movie. They're not. They cut the trailers are pretty different from the movie, especially the special effects. The deviants that they show you in the trailers look like poop in the trailers.
Yeah.
And I thought they were beautiful in the movie.
The deviants in the original trailers look like something Venom tried to Venom passed up. They're all like, hey, do you want these guys in the Venom movie? They're like, no.
They added a ton more color and texture to them. They're very colorful. They were, you know what they kind of remind me of? A monstrous version of the fun familiar creatures in Coco.
Alibris.
Yeah, the Alibris. Yeah. Is that what they're called?
The Lucha Libres.
Yeah, sure. Animals, but I kept feeling Coco, and what was really cool about it is because they would show you them in different scenarios and different time periods, and you could kind of see how they may have inspired the monsters of those cultures.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you could see
you
could see the kind of references.
Well, you had me at character drama, and you have me at not like a regular Marvel movie.
Well, I'll say this:
Alebrijes. Thank you, Selena. Yes, it kind of reminded me of those.
It opens doors to the MCU that personally I don't know if I wanted them to be open, but I'm happy they are. It's very unlike a Loki.
Just go ahead and spoil it. Just I know you want
Shang-Chi. No, I'll say it's its own lane in the MCU, and it's kind of an interesting direction. Like, cause it's really a door wide open on a whole different side.
I think
storytelling.
I think the funniest thing about it, and this is also still not spoiling it, is it quickly confirms, yes, we're in the MCU, like kind of like the trailers showed you, like, yes, we're there, but they're actually not trying to be in the way of the MCU. And so once they get it out of the way, and then they quickly address the question that everybody wants to know, which is, why didn't you help them when Thanos showed up, right? Like, they legitimately get asked that question directly to them, and they have an answer for it. And then you either choose to accept that answer or just walk out of the theater. But then the answer makes sense. And then from then on, they have their own convoluted little storyline going. And then when the movie ends in their own big, giant, epic thing, they say, you know what, we've decided to stay on our own lane. So we're going to do this in a way that keeps us in our own lane. And so they find a way to do that where it's not going to bump heads with any of the other stuff. And I really like that. I thought it was really clever. And it's like I said to you guys earlier today, I feel like the Eternals is the David S. Pumpkins of the Marvel universe. Like, it's
in Tom Hanks.
It's its own thing, man. It's just its own thing.
Until we get Infinity War 2, where the Eternals join up with Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's if Spider-Man's
and defeat Galactus Doctor Doom.
That's if Spider-Man's still around. Yeah. But I will say this, Frank. The other thing that was really fun about this movie that I was telling Ricky before the show is, I think we sat here for the last 2 weeks kind of speculating, like, there's like 10 Eternals in this movie. There's no way this movie ends with 10 Eternals, right? And that's probably true. But I think the most fun part about that movie is I had no idea which ones would make it to the
disputes.
Yeah. And like, so the whole time, every time the story is shifting gears to focus on a different one, you're like, oh, you're kind of more interesting now that I know more about you. Are you gonna die? Like, are you gonna, and so like, what I started realizing is this is not like a normal Marvel movie that I watch, right? It's like a movie, because in a Marvel movie, I know when I go see Spider-Man that movie is going to end with Spider-Man still being totally fine.
You don't know that. You don't know that at all.
You
don't know Spider-Man dying.
You know what I mean, Frank.
Out of the 3 out of the 4 Marvel movies we're getting this year, you have one very female-led movie. You have another one, Asian cast, and then this one's a very diverse cast. Like, it's really bucking that white dude named Chris trend leading a movie.
It is, and I think, like, it's just a little different from everything that we've seen before. But I did appreciate the representation that was shown in there, and I did appreciate the fun of just not knowing how it was going to play out, or who was going to make it, or what the twists and turns were going to be. And like, it just felt like I got to go just watch a movie and not like, I've read the Neil Gaiman Eternals, and this has hints of it, but like, it really does its own thing. And that was fun for me.
Let's keep that representation talk going as we head into the news.
Hold on a second. Before we do that, let's get some formalities out of the way.
No, he said it.
I want to get some formalities out of the way, because I do appreciate your desire to get there. But we did have some stuff that we wanted to get out of the way. As advertised, we'll be putting a spotlight tonight on the first 2 Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. But before we do that, We have some nerd news to discuss, which Ricky's going to get to. For those of you joining us live, don't be shy. I like Selena already. We'll be checking the comments regularly. And for those of you that can't get enough of us, you should visit us at patreon.com/GenXmedia, where you'll find a variety of creative offerings, including early access to our live show, The Soapbox. Patrons get exclusive access to chat with us. But if that's not your thing, don't worry. We'll be releasing it to the public next week. We're going to try something different with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So with that out of the way, now you can do the thing, Ricky. If the first bit of news is Eternals came out, you just kind of
let's glance over that one.
Eternals is banned.
Oh no!
In Saudi Arabia and actually a handful of other countries.
A handful of other countries that don't like gay stuff or other representation kind of
interracial
things.
Are the gay scenes better or worse than like Rocket Man or Brokeback?
I'll say all the stuff in here is non-pandering. It's not it just exists, and I think that's what I like about it a lot. There's no reason. There doesn't need to be a reason.
I will say this: when Ricky told me that it got banned, I was like, "Wait, did it get banned for the gay stuff, or did it get banned for the steamy stuff?" There's some steamy stuff that I did not expect to see. That was on par with like Daredevil almost, kind of like, whoa, you're showing
Evanescence.
that.
Evanescence. Oh, okay.
Not that Daredevil. I meant the Netflix one.
I was with Jennifer Garner.
I was quite surprised.
Coolio, the Coolio vehicle.
But Ricky's like,
talk about that. Is that a spoiler or no?
Ricky's like, probably both. Who knows? Whatever. But yeah, I could see how there would be things that some more conservative cultures would not approve of in this movie. So not surprising. They can go fuck themselves.
The full list, yeah. So Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait.
Am I gonna get like hacked now because I said that? Like,
yeah, they're gonna come cut off your head or something. They do crazy
God
shit.
Damn it. Oh well.
But that's a sexy head that they're gonna be getting. You're not
gonna leading on the Avengers talk. Square Enix president during an earnings call caused Marvel's game, their Avengers game, disappointing. If you remember, I'll read the full quote from you or from them.
I read the banner before you got finished, and it made me laugh. It just tickled.
That's pretty rough.
After explaining the difficulties, like the transition from work from home during the pandemic, this game had to overcome. The president admitted that the way the game was monetized is what held us back. Basically, the games as a service model and the way they chose to nickel and dime, that's the right word, people, for content, and then just their content release schedule. You noted today, Dennis, like it's taken over a year to release what they had 3 months of content that they had planned.
Yeah. They had they just announced today that Spider-Man, who was a PlayStation exclusive character, will finally drop on November 30th. And if I remember correctly, Hawkeye, Black Panther, and Spider-Man were all supposed to be released within the first 3 months of that game.
Yeah.
And so it's bad, dude. I don't know if I would even call it a games as a service model, because all of the content is actually free. The game content is free. They just sell you skins. They just sell you cosmetic stuff.
Well, you can also buy. You could buy like what is that?
Boost, right?
That
you're right. You can boost now. They didn't used to do that, but you're right. They did add that.
Well, they're taking that away too now.
They're taking away the boosting.
Good.
Yeah, they're taking away the paid boosting, XP boosting.
This game is crap, man. This game should have been way better.
Well, it just had like a whole double, triple ram whammy of probably not the right model for this type of game, right? And
Dave, I don't think the word disappointing was the same word in his head. Probably not. It's because Square realized that this was a big big
You
drop.
had the pandemic.
On
you had the Chadwick Boseman thing definitely effed up their Black Panther schedule for some part. It's a whole mix of issues that you can't really have with an IP like the Avengers, right?
I think they'd like you to believe the Chadwick Boseman thing messed up their schedule. But in reality, Black Panther was supposed to be released about 9 months before Chadwick Boseman ever died. So I'm just saying, like, it's pretty hard.
They planned it?
Oh no.
Oh, actually, no, that's
like
not
an Epstein
true.
thing all over again.
You know what? I take that back. I forgot because this game was supposed to come out in like June of 2020, but it came out in September of 2020. And Chadwick Boseman actually did die in September or August, one of the two. So never mind. Yeah. That made it awkward for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, way to go. Are you saying that he should pick a more convenient time to die? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's what you said with your words just now.
Okay.
Well, on to video games that were delayed. Marvel's Midnight Suns. I know you guys are all hyped up about this. The not XCOM game.
Are you happy with that segue? You feel that was a good one?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that.
All right.
If you're happy, we're happy. We're happy with it.
Yeah, but you know what? I at least like that this game announced itself like a month ago, and then they're like, oh no, it's not. Just pump the brakes. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they're pretty vague with the reasoning, but it's just basically they need more time with the game, right?
I feel like Avengers waited a long time to tell us maybe it's not going to come out when we said it would. So I'm okay with this. Whatever. I like. They haven't shown me much of this game, and I'm actually okay with that. Like, take your time. Like
at the Avengers, like, shit, we better take out this pay to win content.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. Like, is Guardians of the Galaxy doing well? Like
I don't even know.
I don't know if a lot of people are playing it. I know Frank and I are playing it, but like, I haven't even played it much at all.
I mean, it's crazy that's just like a single player game, right? Like in today's age,
it's kind of nice that it's a single player game. It's
really calming.
It is. It's comforting. I will say the one thing about that game that weirds me out though is like I reach points in it where it makes me sleepy because there's just so much slow talking and stuff. Yeah. And I've trained myself now that the second I start nodding off, I stop playing the game and I come back on another day because it's too much of it.
I was looking through that just videos of that game and the different costumes they had, and I thought it was cool when you go to like the different costumes that are based on certain comic book runs. They credit everybody, the artist, the writer, and they kind of tie it back into the universe of that game and the little like the lore bits. It's kind of cool. Yeah, a little nice touch on it.
And they don't charge you for that crap either, too. You find hidden costumes in the levels, and you're like, "Ooh, I found a costume." Like, that's it,
It's like an old school game.
It is. It does feel. It feels weird because it feels like they care, and I think I can't help but think that there's a world where that stuff was going to be monetized, but they had to make a left turn after Avengers. And they're just like, you know what? This is just it. We're just gonna take the $60 and run, guys. That's it. Like that's it. Just $60. Go for it.
Yeah, it does look like there's low sales. There's an article that I'm looking at about the devs not feeling pressured by the low sales.
Yeah. Well,
but
something else that looks.
Sorry, I was just gonna say I would be surprised if Square gets to do more Marvel games anytime soon. At least with the bigger IPs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think everybody's looking at Insomniac right now as the preferred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ratings seem pretty high, relatively high.
That's good.
Looks like PS5 and Xbox are seeing more. They're in like the 80s out of 100, whereas like PC is like 70s and
better than Eternals.
Nintendo Switch, it's out for the Switch. It's 54 out of 100 in the Switch. Better than Eternals.
Yeah. There's a lot more white characters in the Guardians.
Oh, yep.
Is that why it's selling better?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of something that might not sell, Morbius.
That's it. You said that, not me.
We got a new Morbius trailer. Okay, but before we hear from Dennis, Frank, what did you think of the trailer?
I thought it was kind of dog shit actually, but like it reminded me of when I first saw the Venom trailer, and I'm like, this is gonna obviously be dumb. And then I watched Venom movie, and I was like, this is dumb, but I had a great time.
Exactly.
So I imagine I'll have a great time with this because I like shitty horror movies, and I think this is gonna follow that.
Now, Dennis, I want you to say one good thing about the trailer before you start. One thing you liked or that excites you.
The music stuck in my head for the rest of the day. People Are Strange. Yeah, that was a catchy one. Like it was a good use of that song. No, I gotta agree with Frank. I just laugh when I see this trailer. I think this trailer doesn't even know what it wants to be necessarily.
Well, there's a ton of shit in it. Like,
sorry, I mean this movie doesn't know what it wants to be because like I'm not even sure what universe it takes place in, dude.
Right?
Like
yeah,
Tobey Maguire,
every Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire's in like on the graffiti.
The PS4 render of Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, the PS4 render of Tobey Maguire.
It even has the what's it called, the Daily Bugle icon from on the newspaper.
Yeah, it's got the Daily
from
Bugle.
The Toby.
There's a Garfield Oscorp.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Garfield Oscorp. There's
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton, and then they reference. They say that we haven't seen something this crazy since the guy that won in San Francisco, which means to me that it's not the MCU because the MCU sees crazy shit every day.
At the end, he's like straight up, "I am Venom," right?
Yeah. Right, but I'm saying like, yes, they reference Venom, but like that doesn't, there's two Venoms, right? There's a Topher Grace one too. Like there's
for sure.
There's two Venoms. Not that I assume that they are referencing Topher Grace, but the thing is like, isn't Venom like? Is Venom in the MCU or is Tom Holland in this crappy universe?
I'm gonna go left field. It takes place in the Insomniac Spider-Man universe.
Nice.
That'd be sick. That'd be like really sick.
I'd actually be cool with that. If that was the case, I'd be like, all right, I'm down. Yeah, I'm down.
But who's going to be Venom if it's the Insomniac universe? Oh, it's Harry Osborn, right?
Yeah, it's Harry.
I just spoilers. I just ruined everything.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. The funniest thing, because our friend Travis, he loves hyping up all of these movies, regardless as if they look like dog shit, according to Frank. And it cracked me up because he posted this and he's like, now this is a vampire movie. And I was like, is it really? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess technically there's a vampire in it. But what cracked me up is he had one of his friends comment on this movie and say, they were like, what did they say? They say, I'm all in on this one. I've said for the last 2 decades, I'd be a vampire who only kills bad people. So I love the vampire as a hero idea. And I couldn't help reply. And I was like, you mean like Blade, right? like Blade. Like it's not a new idea. There's plenty more before Blade and after Blade, but I'm just saying like, this is not a novel idea. So,
or are we talking like on Lost Boys, how Michael the vampire kills all those other vampires?
Sure. Yeah. Lindsay wants to know, how do you feel about the wideness of Morbius's mouth? Enough, not enough, never enough. Gotta say never enough.
Never enough.
Never enough. It's never enough.
He needs that flip top head so we can brush the back of his teeth.
I actually haven't shown this trailer to Lindsay yet. I've spared her. I'll show it to her eventually, but it's pretty silly.
It's good for a laugh, I think.
It is good for a laugh.
I can name like 3 vampire movies just off the top of my head that I think are better than Morbius, but I don't know. Like,
but he's not. Is he in the comics a vampire or just someone who has vampire powers?
He's the living vampire.
The living vampire. No,
he has vampire powers, but he's not dead.
Okay. He's not undead.
Okay. Sorry, he's not undead. Yes. Undead. He's the living.
Yeah, I don't know. Just in case we have vampire viewers, I don't want them to get offended.
And if he's the Fox Kids version, he doesn't even bite people. He's got
suckers. The suckers.
He's got suckers in his hands because they didn't want to show him biting people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know, the biggest downside to this, like, because I know they're trying to do some weird thing where they put together a bunch of Spider-Man's villains, and Spider-Man is hopefully like best case scenario they're doing it so they can fight Spider-Man, whatever. But like, I like when Blade goes after Morbius, and that's a thing that I don't think we're gonna get, man. We're not gonna get it. And also, I'm just kind of sick of Jared Leto, man. Like, I really am. Like, I'm just tired of this guy.
He's like, a fine actor.
The amount of things you say are fine in this world, like
I would rather have him than like who Taylor fucking Kitsch. Like, who else?
Are those the two options?
There's only two
options.
It's just him or Taylor Kitsch.
White dude with shoulder length hair. Name another one.
I guess. What? You know, there's wigs, right? There's wigs.
Nope, they got to have shoulder length hair.
They gotta have shoulder length hair,
and they got to be white.
And are we sure that Taylor Kitsch still has shoulder length hair?
I know you may be right. I saw Battleship, not shoulder length.
What about Charlie Hunnam? Can we get Charlie Hunnam to play?
Okay, yeah, another white dude shoulder length hair.
Slap a wig on him with shoulder length hair.
Those are the three options, guys.
That's
our new poll. Would you rather Morbius be Charlie Hunnam, Taylor Kitsch, or Jared Leto?
Those are the only.
Guess what? It doesn't matter because they already did it.
One of those is an Academy Award-winning actor. That's all I'm saying.
This is Jared Leto, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he win? I was just talking shit.
No,
did
he
actually
win?
He did.
He won. Yeah.
I'm just saying Ben Affleck is an actor with an Academy Award too.
He's already Daredevil he's already Daredevil in the MCU.
He's still an actor.
An actor, but he hasn't directed a superhero thing yet.
So
yeah, you can't be Morbius. It's written you can't be Morbius unless you directed a superhero thing. It says it right there in black and white.
Gotcha. All right. Let's move on.
That's all my news.
You tell us how you feel about Morbius, but we're done with this crap.
Okay.
I got no toy news at all, by the way.
Yeah,
I got zero. Thank goodness they took a week off. I think I showed you guys that Lady Loki from the comic books. That thing went up for sale this week, so if you want that, that's available on different toy e-tailers. But that's it. Nothing.
Proton pack's happening. Not Marvel related, but
without the nozzles, though, right?
Without the wand.
The stretch goal, you get the hose.
Yeah, the stretch goal, you get the hose so that you can plug it into the $125 wand. Hey, this is the mostly Marvel podcast, so sometimes we talk about weird stuff.
I was thinking about better vampire movies. Did you guys like Let Me In better than Let the Right One In?
I've seen the.
I like Let the Right One In better than Let Me In.
Chloe Moretz Grace one.
That's Let Me In.
That's Let Me In.
Let Me In. That one has
It does have Richard Jenkins though.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Car murder scene. Spoiler for that movie, where he suffocates that dude in the bag. It's a single shot. That is a beautiful piece of cinema. That scene. Just that angle and point of view that they use. I thought it was like one of the coolest things I ever saw that year.
Didn't think we'd be talking about that in this show, but sure.
Yeah. We're just talking about better vampire movies.
We'll rewatch that in the soapbox.
That'll be in the soapbox. We're gonna watch it together, guys.
All right. Okay.
Ready for game time?
We have Ricky, you prepared a game for us, huh?
Nice.
Yeah,
it's true. Let's do it. I'm down to do something. By the way, just so you guys know, like I said, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man 1 and 2 today after we do this game. But next week, if you're interested, we're going to continue it with talking about Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. So if you need to prepare for next week, get started after this show ends. Yeah.
I recommend the director cut of the second movie.
Oh God! Director's
cut. Yeah, the Shailene Woodley cut.
No, is that a real thing?
Yeah, there is a director's cut.
I was going to ask about the Tobey one because there's the Spider-Man 2.5, and I was going to ask if that one should go for grabs, and I'm like, nah, I just watch it in parody with you guys. But
I've never seen that.
I vaguely remember it. It came up when I was like just doing some research on the first two for this week.
Yeah.
It was like a DVD thing, right?
Yeah, they change certain scenes and they extend like certain fight scenes. They extend certain they completely revamped certain scenes to, I don't know. I don't think it flows better, but it's just different. It's like a Earth 2 Spider-Man. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I heard they had one for. I thought it was one of the Garfield ones had one too, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, one of the 2 Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans has a cut like that.
Oh yeah, no, the second one has a cut.
By the way,
for sure.
I need to put this out there because we skipped over it, and I don't get to see Dave do this much snark. But regarding Avengers, really quick, the video game, he said they couldn't overcome the pandemic. Where was everyone trapped at home with nothing better to do? It's true. It's true.
It's true.
I appreciate the snark. You don't get a lot of that from Dave. So,
okay.
Anyways, Ricky prepared a game for us to play before we go talk about Spider-Man.
Yes. So, you guys ever heard of 20 questions?
Yeah. Are we doing 40?
We're doing 10.
600.
Okay.
So, I picked a Marvel character. Not at random. I always had this character in mind when I wanted to do this game when we first started the show way back when. So you guys have 10 questions, yes or no questions, basically, to deduce who this character is. You guys can split up the questions 5 each, or you can just team up and go 1 through 10. But I kind of want to see how you go. This is probably a tough game.
I kind of want to see if the audience helps us on this one too.
Yo, what if we can guess it right now? Do we win the ultimate prize?
That's a question. Like, so is on your 10th question, it has to be, is it this person? Right? That's how it works.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's on the 10th question. Oh, so we have to.
Yeah. It's not question 11.
No.
So 9 questions are dedicated to figuring out who the person is.
The good news is he's probably not going to keep track.
I got a paper. I got my Eternals ticket. I'm going to write on it.
All right. Well, Frank, you go first.
Okay.
Isn't the first one supposed to be like animal, vegetable, or mineral or something like that? Okay, hold on, wait. No. Is this person a hero or a villain?
I'm gonna say villain.
Villain.
All right. Is this person human, alien, or other?
That's like it's. Is it a? Are you asking if it's a human, or are you asking if it's an alien? Like, what's the?
Or other.
Or other.
Oh, sorry. They're yes or no.
Oh, the yes or no questions.
No,
the
answer. And the answer to that question is no.
Sorry. Wait. No. No, I just say is it human? Is it human?
No.
Okay, that helps.
Okay, not a human.
Not a human, and more likely a villain.
When he says not a human, does it mean like baseline human? Because like a mutant would be Homo sapiens superior. Not.
No, I would
just to be clear. Just to be clear, yeah, a mutant is a human.
That still counts as human. Okay.
With skin and flesh, I would count them as human.
We could rewrite the question to be: were they born on Earth? Like, and do they have human characteristics? Sorry,
he said we could reword it. We're not rewording it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we asked if they were human.
All right. So you're on question 3.
Born on Earth is fine. That's an extra one that we needed. Okay, cool. Born on Earth, not human, and a villain.
Okay.
If I find out that you don't know the correct answer to any of these, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go ham.
Yeah.
Not human. Let me see.
Oh my God,
he's checking right now. He's checking.
No. I'm keeping notes on Notepad. Was this person created before the 90s?
Yes.
Before the 90s.
Okay. Interesting.
Or 90s.
Has this person been featured in an MCU movie?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Actually,
wait.
No. I'll probably get shit for it, but no.
Man.
Okay, villain made before the 90s.
Not human.
Not human. Not featured.
Born on Earth, and not in an MCU.
Oh, did we say Born on Earth? Did we?
Yeah, we did. We did say Born on Earth.
I get a freebie on. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's fine. We can count that. It was a qualifying answer. It did help.
That
helps. That helps. That helps.
Number 5.
Things.
Okay, so we're on number 6 right now.
Yeah. No, this is number 5. You're on number 5.
He gave us the Born on Earth one for free.
I gave you the Born on
Earth. He's for sure giving us. Okay.
Yeah.
He just said he is. Yeah.
I'm benevolent God.
Born on Earth, villain, not human. Created before the 90s, not featured in an MCU movie.
But with a question mark on that one. Yeah.
With a
Let's try not to get hung up on that question mark and just
if the question is not featured.
Oh gosh.
Then okay. They're not featured in an MCU movie.
Are they in the credits? I think is probably like...
No, don't ask that. Don't ask. We're not wasting. We're not wasting.
Don't waste it. You're on. This is what's your number 5?
Okay, number 5. Let's see.
You go, Frank.
Do they identify as a female?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That helped. Frank,
it's good phrasing on it too.
Frank, Mrs. Howard the Duck is she from Earth?
Yep, we just won.
I'm just kidding. I don't think there is a Mrs. Howard the Duck.
Darcy.
Identify as female, huh?
Okay, not human. Do we get an extra question if someone from the chat asks a question?
If chat asks a question, I will count that as a freebie.
Frank, I'm gonna do a private chat with you, Frank, because I have a theory.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna put here in there, but we can just hang on to that for a minute.
Also, don't look at the news Google Doc because
did you see my suggestion? That's just an option. I don't want that to be.
Yeah, okay.
Because that does fulfill that question mark that Ricky threw out there.
True.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see.
Number 6. Question 6.
You ask another one, Frank, because I asked a lot of them.
Okay. Let me see.
We could either try to narrow down to that one, or we could try and go in a different direction and see.
I'll try to narrow down to that one. Is this person organic?
No.
Okay.
Number 7.
Is there a female living laser, Frank?
Oh, we got a freebie from chat.
The living lasette.
Was this person featured in a TV show? Let me double check. They might have appeared in one of the cartoons.
Well,
if you're going cartoon, that's pretty big.
Yeah, that means Ricky's gonna have to look a lot of things up.
No, I have a pretty good list right up here.
How many are we up to? Are we up to 7? Was that 7 questions?
3, 4,
I counted the chat of the freebie, so you guys are on number 7 right now.
Yeah, okay. We're on 7. Yeah.
Okay.
They have appeared in a cartoon.
Yeah, that's true about the character I suggested.
Yeah, potential character. So to recap, Dennis, it's a villain, not human, born on Earth, created before the 90s, not featured in an MCU movie, female, and not organic.
Not featured in an MCU movie with an asterisk.
Not featured in an MCU movie with an asterisk, yeah. I'll put an asterisk there so I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Question number 7.
In a cartoon. I'll write that too.
Ricky, were you expecting this character to show up in WandaVision?
I don't have my bingo card in front of me, so no.
You can't. You freaking Frank, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that one.
Okay.
Question 8 for Frank.
Want to try to narrow it?
You basically have 2 more to get it down before you have to give us your final. So,
all right, I'll try to push it in that direction. Is this person related to Ultron?
Yes. Do you go for the kill now? Do you go for the kill on number 9 like a baller?
I mean, because Frank, if we're wrong, then we just narrow it down to one of the other ones, right? There's not a lot of other ones.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Is it Jocasta?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it.
You saw
ding,
that
ding,
was,
ding, ding.
I think we were there a little while ago, but I just
that's pretty impressive.
I think we got it by 4.
Yeah, I think we got it by 4.
Jocasta, the wife of Ultron and Machine Man, was featured in Age of Ultron very briefly when Tony was picking a new voice for his AI. Am I right about that one?
She's one of the options, the chips that are AI. He's picking a different AI. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't notice that. That's cool. When he was picking
that's Friday. That's when I knew when I asked Ricky that question. When he backpedaled on it, I was like, yeah, it's Jocasta.
Was that? I mean, would you have been pissed if I would have said no? She's not featured in the MCU.
No, I appreciated the honesty of your answer. But for the record, somebody had Jocasta on their bingo card back in January.
Yeah, I think it was me. I think that
I don't remember which one of us did, but
I have had this was my when I wanted to pitch 20 questions when we first started the show, like she was always the one who I had in my mind because I remember unboxing that toy, I think, at your house. And for some reason she just stuck with me.
Did you unbox this toy at my house? Maybe. I just got this one. I got this one during the pandemic.
No, this was a Hulk one. Sorry, I remember talking about this toy or seeing it because it's the what's the body? Not the bodyguard. The bouncer Hulk.
Are you talking Joe Fixit, Mr.
Joe
Fixit?
Yeah, Joe Fixit wave. She's in the Joe Fixit wave, which I got last year during the pandemic. Or wait, no, sorry, not last year. I got it this year, and I talked about it on this show. This is the longest year ever. This is the longest year ever.
But impressive nonetheless that you guys were able to narrow down a comic book character in 9 questions.
Really 4.
Pretty good.
Really 4. We wanted to let your game go a little.
Pat yourselves on the backs.
We know once we already had it on lock. Once she related to Ultron, we were like,
I can see the chat too, so
I know you can. But Frank and I were able to team up aggressively on you once.
All right.
Once we did.
I might have to pick something a bit more obscure.
I was gonna say.
Hey, you know what, Ricky? I like that. That was fun. I'm glad we only kept it to 10 though, because 20 would be really long. But
agreed.
But that was fun. I definitely welcome another one of those in the future when we have a guest.
We'll get a video.
Yeah, we'll get something for you. We'll get something prepped for you. And thanks for the chat who was trying to help in there as well.
Yeah,
that's actually your question did help solidify that answer as well, C. Cal Soda, because I remember her being in the Avengers cartoon.
Mightiest Heroes. Is it that one?
Yeah.
It was Earth Mightiest Heroes.
Either that one or that one where they have weird power up suits. I can't remember.
Earth Mightiest Heroes and Marvel Disc Wars.
Oh God!
I don't know that
I don't even know what that is, but yeah, I've definitely seen her before.
It's a Japanese show.
Should we do the thing? Should we finally?
Let's do the thing.
All right, let's do the thing.
And they say that a hero will save us.
We've waited long enough. It's time to put a spotlight on Tobey and Friends. That's what I'm calling this one.
Tobey and Friends.
Yeah. So for our audience that has been following us this whole year, we did actually already talk about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 several months ago. Kind of like as a goof, like we were trying to find like really like poorly rated movies to watch while we were waiting for MCU content.
It's rated higher than Eternals.
Yeah, most things are. And so we're like, let's rewatch just this one, just by itself. I think Frank watched all 3 of them.
No, I'm gonna watch the 3rd one tomorrow, though. I will watch the 3rd one.
Okay. Yeah, but we decided, since we gave the 3rd one its own episode of this show, we didn't want to rehash that and do it again tonight. But in preparation for No Way Home, there's a lot of speculation that we're going to see a Tobey. There's a lot of speculation about it. So we're like, let's refresh. So let's watch Spider-Man 1 and 2 from back in 2002 and 2004. And I'm pretty sure most people know what those movies are about, but I'll just give a quick recap just for whoever. I'm not judging you if you don't know, but based on Marvel Comics superhero, this is a story of Peter Parker, who is a nerdy high schooler. He was orphaned as a child, bullied by jocks, and can't confess his crush for his stunning neighborhood girl, Mary Jane Watson. To say his life is miserable is an understatement. But one day, while on an excursion to a laboratory, a runaway radioactive spider bites him, and his life changes in a way no one could have imagined, except everyone watching that movie. Peter acquires a muscle-bound physique, clear vision, ability to cling to surfaces and crawl over walls, shooting webs from his wrist. Yuck. But the fun isn't going to last. An eccentric millionaire, Norman Osborn, administers a performance-enhancing drug on himself, and his maniacal alter ego, Green Goblin, emerges. Now Peter has to become Spider-Man and take Green Goblin to the task, or else Goblin will kill him. They come face to face, and the war begins, in which only one of them will survive at the end. That's the summary for the first one. The summary for the second one is, and then Doc Ock shows up.
The end.
The end.
No, you're not wrong. I mean,
you know what I was going to add to that, though, real quick, is that when he goes to the excursion, the science excursion, they're led by a teacher who is the same age as them, or something like that. I don't know. That's something I would have added. I can't remember my exact wording, but yeah,
that would have been relevant information to put in that quick summary for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, before we get in the movie talks, like, I kind of want to know, like, do you guys remember seeing this movie in theaters? I think for Dennis, like, you were at the Comic-Con panel for this, right?
This is awesome, Ricky. I was just about to ask questions, and you kind of just filled one in, but I will clarify it before everybody asks. But what I was going to ask was, before we talk about these movies, what they feel like now, what did they mean to you then? Was my question. So kind of answer both, like, if you guys want. Like, I say Frank goes first, since Ricky and I both asked the question.
Sounds good.
What do you remember about it, and what did you feel back then when you watched it?
I just remember it was a kind of a breath of fresh air. A lot of actors, I think around that time, didn't take superhero movies seriously, especially like the villains. I think things like Tommy Lee Jones and what was it called? Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jim Carrey. They didn't seem to take their roles seriously as their villains. So it was nice to see someone just treat the role with like the appropriate gravitas that I think it deserved for its time. And that goes for Tobey also, for the most part, with a couple caveats here and there. But it was cool. It was cool to see a serious superhero movie that was still entertaining. So yeah, that's what I meant.
You were giving me some awesome insight into your life earlier this week, Frank, because, like, you know, you and I we have a lot of fun talking about superhero movies all the time, which is kind of why we decided to do a podcast together. But you had you're only like 2 or 3 years younger than me, right? Like, that's like, but you had a very jaded take on the superhero movie by the time this one came out, right? Like, you were pretty burned.
You're already salted.
And I wanted to know what hurt you so badly. And it was awesome because you laundry listed a lot of movies that I wouldn't have even considered as being hurtful, because I didn't care and I didn't know anything about most of them. Like, you listed The Mask as a movie that hurts you. And that breaks my heart, because The Mask was one of my favorite movies at that time. You know?
So The Mask actually made me feel really dubious about the entire thing, because while I enjoyed the movie, it was a big slap in the face for anyone that enjoyed the comics for what they were. So the comics, just to let people know if they don't already know, they were like hyper violent. Think like Bugs Bunny meets like some kind of like I'm trying to think of some violent. Bugs Bunny meets Tarantino. It's that kind of level of violence, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was a good like romp. He was an anti-hero. He's not a hero, first off. So I I felt that the movie was a slap in the face in that my first viewing, I was really offended and I was just really angry about it. But then like I watched it a couple weeks later or like a week later in the theaters, and I was all like, oh no, this movie's funny. I was incorrect, but this is not the comic.
So is it safe to say, based on all of these movies that you had watched, like Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, Barbed Wire, The Crow,
Tank Girl,
Spawn, that when you went to see Spider-Man for the first time, you were skeptical, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome, man.
And we had talked about that also because around that time also the actors were the main draws. So you go to see like Demolition Man to see Stallone, see what he's going to do with the role. You see like Terminator or something because you want to see what Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to do next. You know, what cool thing he's going to do or what dumb thing he's going to do in the later ones. But for this one, like Tobey wasn't really the draw. Like it was the character that was the actual draw, and I feel like that was pretty unique for its time.
And honestly, the same can be said on the positive end of it too, right? Because by this point, we'd already gotten a Wesley Snipes-led Blade, and we'd gotten Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen led X-Men movie. So I see your point. Like, where those were the reasons you went to see the movie, and those actors did not disappoint either, right?
Like they were actually fan cast. Like those were the actors that I wanted in those roles. Ian McKellen. And Patrick Stewart especially. So like we kind of got what we wanted. So I felt it was kind of like seeing the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. You know, we bitched and complained at the first character model. So it was my obligation to
another great Jim Carrey movie, by the way.
Another great Jim Carrey movie. And that's another reason to go see The Mask, because it was a Jim Carrey draw. Not a lot of people had heard about like Mayhem or The Mask or just that character in general.
Yeah.
I felt obligated to see X-Men is what I was going to say. No other casting choice, though, did I agree with. Maybe James Marsden after seeing him.
I was pretty excited about James Marsden, but
he looked the part. I thought he was good, but then like Wolverine just steamrolled over him as a character.
And I was like, Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hugh Jackman was amazing in that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay. We're not here to talk about X-Men.
I wish Hollywood would have had the balls to hire just the short, furry, ugly dude,
Danny DeVito.
Well, they did hire a shorter, furrier, uglier dude, but then he broke his foot. Sorry, no, Tom Cruise broke his foot, and it was the Dougray Scott.
Yeah,
Dougray Scott was the villain in Mission Impossible 2. He had already been cast as Wolverine, but because Tom Cruise broke his foot during the filming of that movie, they had to delay the production, and Dougray Scott had to choose which movie to do, and he's like, I'm going to stay with this Mission Impossible 2 movie. That movie sucks so bad,
That's
dude.
The worst one in the franchise.
It's the worst one in the franchise.
The Wu one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a fun fact about not Spider-Man. But do you want me to answer?
We're talking about not Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, do you want me to answer your question, Ricky, or do you want to ask
side Frank question for Frank?
Yo.
That movie Spider-Man has a very interesting production history. Just the rights bouncing around. That there are people trying to get that movie They're trying to get that movie made. I think James Cameron was trying to get that movie made for a while.
James Cameron and Sony were in a lawsuit for many years. About the
was that all known at that time? Like, was that in your mindset too?
For Spider-Man fans who had just barely stopped being on AOL.
Spider-Man fan 69 like that.
We definitely were aware of that going on, and Michael Biehn was supposed to be the Peter Parker that we got if we got James Cameron to do it, and I kind of liked that because that meant that James Cameron was just going to go with like a 30-year-old Spider-Man. You know what I mean? He wasn't going to be a kid. I mean, we did get a 30-year-old Spider-Man, but he was playing a teenager.
He was playing a 20-year. Oh yeah, teenager. That's right. It starts.
Yeah, but let me answer your question, Ricky, before we actually start talking about this movie. For me, that's why I said I got so much insight from Frank, because for me, most of those movies that he listed didn't matter to me. They weren't really on my radar. I watched them for fun, but I had no reverence for the characters in the comics at all. Minus, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, and Spawn. But honestly, I love Batman Forever. I've always loved Batman Forever, and that used to be a point of contention between me and Frank, but he's come around over the years. He actually appreciates that movie for just being the zany movie that it is. If you don't look at it as the normal like Dark Knight story, and you just look at it as this amazing anomaly that is just part of the greatness of Jim Carrey's library, you know, like
same with Batman and Robin too.
Yeah, that one's hard for me, but I can appreciate it for being the campiness that it is. So for me, I had barely ever been burned by superhero movies. So I went into this one just expecting the moon, man. I was so excited about this. I was so annoying to my friends in college at the time. I was really annoying. Like I had countdowns going for this thing. I just could not wait for this movie to come out. And when it finally did, I was actually that was finals week for me. Every day I would go, I'd take a final, and then I'd go to the movies and I'd watch Spider-Man. Every day for 7 days I watched Spider-Man because I loved this movie so much at the time. And it just meant everything to me because Spider-Man was my favorite character. And I knew about all that drama that you brought up, Ricky. And so like it just felt like, when are we going to get a Spider-Man movie? And I was actually really happy that it took as long as it did because the special effects that are required for Spider-Man are so much crazier than a Batman movie. You know what I mean? Like, or most superhero movies. Like, so it was actually kind of like a perfect timing thing. Like that the Spider, like, you know, we already had some really good special effects movies behind us. We had like Jurassic Park, we had T2, we had a lot of things, a lot of time to like really work out the nuance of doing a human character or movement that was just unbelievable and stuff. And so, yeah, when that movie finally came out, it blew me away. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching both movies this week, I was really still impressed by the special effects. You know, like obviously they're better now. You know, like by today's Spider-Man special effects look better, but like, hey man, I still watch Jurassic Park all the time because it holds up. Like,
yeah, it's pretty good.
And Spider-Man holds up, man. The special effects, the action and special effects at a minimum. There are things that I don't think necessarily held up. But we can talk about those in a minute. But I am curious, Ricky, how old were you when you watched Spider-Man, and what was it to you?
It was 2002, right? So I would have been
like 2.
I would have been 8.
Oh man.
To be honest, I don't remember. I guess let me preference. I used to watch a lot of Disney Channel as a kid, right? So Disney Channel, if you don't know, doesn't really have advertisements on it. There's no commercial breaks, or there's commercial breaks, but they're just playing Disney.
They advertise Disney stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here, let's go to Disneyland. So there wasn't like a place for me to see that trailer, you know, to be excited for Spider-Man. But the one big Spider-Man memory I do have is for my birthday that year, I had gotten an Xbox. I knew I was going to get one because I think my mom had asked me, I'm like, you want an Xbox or PlayStation? So I knew I had the X.
And you knew that I worked at PlayStation.
Well, I mean, I had a modded Xbox.
Oh, actually, no, I didn't work there at 2002. Never mind.
Yeah, you're in college.
I did not. Yeah, I did not. Yeah.
But I knew an Xbox was coming, and like the day before my birthday, I was pretty sick, like, you know, cold, everything, like legit. I had to, you know, be in bed all hunched over, and my parents gave me my Xbox a day early, and I'm like, oh, cool, I got an Xbox, and then like, oh, we got you a game too, and it was Spider-Man. So I remember playing the shit out of Spider-Man the game. I want to say before I went to go see the movie.
The movie one?
The movie game, yeah. The movie game.
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Spider-Man 1 movie game.
I don't remember that game being like, I don't remember much about that one.
That's a cool one.
The second one's better.
Yeah,
the second one's one of the greatest Spider-Man games ever made. Like there's
a lot of like the swinging in that movie is fine. Like the only thing in that, the swinging in that game's fine. The only thing in that game is you could never touch the ground. It was all fog.
Yeah.
No, was that the movie one also?
That was for the PlayStation one.
That was the arcade.
Before the movie, the first movie game, it's the same. You can't touch the ground. Yeah.
But what was weird is that you can go above the buildings and still web. So it's like,
Yeah.
what is he webbing on?
Yeah.
But I remember buying like the Tips and Tricks magazine and like finding all the secret codes for that.
Did you do the code where you get to play as the goblin?
Yes. Right?
Did the game get you excited for the movie?
Exactly. So that long story short, the game hyped me up for the movie. And I love the movie. Because of Spider-Man. Did I have anything or any context of what was going on? Hell no. But
yeah,
it's a fun movie.
Okay, with that, with now that we've nicely reminded ourselves of what we felt like back then. Now, through the lens of 2021, how did you guys feel about these two movies?
It was great. It felt like I feel in a way what I felt when I was younger, in that it was a breath of fresh air amidst the comic book noise, whereas before it was a noise because people weren't taking it seriously, giving it the seriousness that they should have. Now it's just like comic book movies are just being churned out like a factory, and this one actually has a little bit of filmmaking craft to it, which I really appreciated again. So it's kind of the same but kind of different.
Ricky?
It's the best Spider-Man movie they could have made at the time. And there's some good filmmaking and like Frank said, in those movies. Like, I think to Frank's point, this was a summer blockbuster. Like, that's not really a thing anymore. We get like 5.
That's not a thing anymore. Are you talking about because of COVID? Because that doesn't count.
Again, because COVID. But no, like like every year there's always one movie that would dominate the summer. Like that one movie. Now we have, there's always like 2 or 3. Shit, we get like 5 or 3 Marvel movies a year. You get more variety, but those were like everyone's gonna go watch Spider-Man. Like there was a zeitgeist around it.
Did you guys know that Spider-Man was the first movie ever to make $100 million in its first weekend and only weekend?
Oh wow!
And that's even counting every movie that's ever been adjusted for inflation.
Wow, that's cool.
That's a lot. Now it happens often. Well, not this year.
But, well, if it doesn't happen, it's considered a flop, pretty much.
Yeah. If it's a tentpole movie and it doesn't do that, like that's crazy. But like this explains that fun fact alone should tell you why Sony will hold on to Spider-Man with its cold, dead hands. Like it will never ever let go of Spider-Man as long as they can keep it, because all they have to do is keep cranking out a Spider-Man movie every few years, and they get to keep the rights for that thing. They don't ever have to let it go. Yeah. And I don't blame them. There's a reason why the PlayStation 3 font is the same font as Spider-Man. Yeah. They're this is too good.
Ricky misspoke when he said there wasn't another movie in 2002 that came out. There was one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson vehicle called the Scorpion King.
Was that 2002? Oh, it was.
Oh God, I saw that in theaters too.
Yeah, isn't that nuts though? Like the first movie ever to make $100 million. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That is.
So yeah, you're right. No movie was as big as this ever when this came out, and it's pretty crazy. But I gotta say, guys, like I still enjoyed both movies a lot. Yeah. I really did. Like I need to make this clear. Like I know Frank knows this. Like I don't really go out of my way to like watch a lot of old stuff, like or play a lot of old games. I know that's where Frank and I are very different. So like I haven't seen Spider-Man 1 in at least 15 years.
Oh, it's been a minute for me too.
It's just not something I go out of my way to do, because like I mean, again, I saw it 7 times in 1 week. I think I know the movie pretty good. I think I know the movie pretty good, guys. But and I saw it many times when it came out on DVD and stuff. By the way, like when I had to watch this for this week, I realized I don't even own Blu-rays of this movie. I own DVDs.
Yes, same on that one too.
Yeah,
I have a UMD somewhere.
I own the Blu-ray for 3, but not for 1 and 2. It's just DVDs. But yeah, that was weird. And by the way, like the DVD for Spider-Man 2 starts with a trailer for Hitch with Will Smith and Kevin James, and I'm like, what is this? Like
that was like back in the day where like the DVDs had like a game on them, right? Like I remember there's some sort of Spider-Man interactive game on that DVD somewhere that I played the shit out of.
So on that DVD, in that particular DVD, the game was when you see a little spider appear on the screen,
symbol,
it was like a UI Spider-Man symbol or spider symbol. When you click on it, it gives you like a trivia question. It stops the movie, gives you like a trivia question, then you answer it, and then
it's like pop-up video kind of, right?
But except more intrusive.
More intrusive.
Like I remember my dad buying the DVD for that at the local Best Buy. Like again, that was another thing he did, right? It's like movie comes out, you got to go buy it, and we bought that DVD, and like I, cracked it open, plugged it, like threw it in the disc, like it's a little, you lose that now. But
I love that that's a fond memory you have. That's
right,
awesome.
Like
it's awesome.
This is novel at the time. DVD players were still new in 2002, right? Like
I'd pretty much phased out my VHS collection by then. Think.
Yeah, they weren't new in 2002. I don't think
they started off like I want to say like mid 90s. I think my first job I was saving up to buy a DVD player because I saw The Mask and they showed deleted scenes from The Mask. True story. They had an intro that shows.
You could do that then, right?
Yeah. It was great. Oh, it was awesome. But their intro showed like some Norsemen, some Vikings hiding the mask in the water or whatever. Like it was super weird, super bizarre. Anyway, back to Spider-Man. Did you guys notice any? Sorry, were you going to ask a question, Dennis? I know you were talking about how.
Well, no, I was going to say that through my lens of watching it this week, like the first one, I know I'd always liked to have fun being cynical and troll it, but like the first one honestly fell in my esteem, my evaluation of it a little bit. I still think it's a great movie. But the second one held up in every way I could ever imagine for me. Like I still like I saw every bit of that movie as just like this is a really well done or like superhero story. It's a hero's journey throughout it all. I did have ideas for how I could see that, if I had the ability, the lens of hindsight, how I could go and change that. But like, but the thing that bothered me about one is that Ricky says it's the best Spider-Man movie we could have gotten at the time. And I don't necessarily know if I believe that, because like Tobey Maguire played that character so flat in the first act of that movie. Like
he's very dull.
He is dull. He is like just no charm at all. Like
even in his monologues, they're just like
dude, they're stiff. They're really wooden, really wooden. And like and like when I saw that, I was like, I had the luxury of we just watched 3 earlier this year, so I knew that's not a thing that he always does. So I think he just got really comfortable after the first movie, and he became a brighter, more well-rounded character in the second and third movies. He had a field day in the third movie. You could just tell, like he just got to do all kinds of stuff. But I was really happy when I got to the second movie, because I was like, oh, okay, there's the Toby I remember, because like he's rough to watch. And then I know this killed Frank, but like up until this week, Kirsten Dunst had always been my favorite Mary Jane, depicted outside of the comic books. And I know this is going to break some people's hearts. I know that we have some people that love to watch the show, and they've always agreed. I've always agreed with them on this, and I gotta say I kind of hated her in the first movie.
Whoa!
But I did.
Kirsten Dunst just canceled her Patreon of our show.
Damn it! And you know what it was that made me hate her is like I kind of forgotten the context of the famous kiss. I forgotten that she was actually still in a relationship with Harry Osborn at that point in the story. Like as a 20-year-old, it was probably 20-something-year-old that was developing late and still flooded with hormones and probably going through late puberty. All I wanted was for Spider-Man and Mary Jane to hook up. So that upside down kiss was everything to me back then.
MTV Movie Award Kiss of the Year.
Yeah, exactly, and it's still a wonderful kiss to see. Out of context, without context, it's great. But no, having the context there made me upset. And then, like, what was even worse is
wait, before you say what was even worse, I've got a story that applies the same logic that you're applying to the upside down kiss, but for the soapbox. It's only for the soapbox.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You do realize that the soapbox is still going to go public, so be careful with that one too.
No, it's not that bad of a story. Okay. It's too racy for the main show, but it's
that's enticing. But
so sorry, Dennis was finishing his thought.
Yeah, but I was going to say, and then what made it worse for me is that she doubled down on the inappropriateness and full on tells Peter, "I love you," at Harry's dad's funeral, and then gives him a sloppy wet kiss. Like, that is so trashy, man. But like, with that out of the way, by the time the second movie, like when I started watching the second movie, I see where her character is now, like in the story, and like she's not with Peter. She's moved on because like he didn't reciprocate, and I was actually really okay with her character throughout that one, and I actually still found a way to love her in that second movie. So I will just say I now rewatching it, I don't like her character or her depiction of the character in the 1 out of 3 movies. I like her in 2 and 3. She's fine. She's fine in 2 and 3. But that's what changed.
Would you go so far as to at least say you like her in half of 1?
I liked her at the beginning of 1.
At the beginning of 1.
I liked her right up until the kiss. I found her to be incredibly charming, incredibly relatable, very down to earth, very attractive. All of these things were awesome. But the moment that kiss happened, man, I was like, wait a second. Like,
I'm cool with the kiss. Outside of the story I'm going to tell in the soapbox, I'm cool with the kiss because that's kind of how she was in the comics. She was really flighty. When Peter wouldn't give her attention, she started dating Norman or Harry. Sorry, dating Harry. It was Gwen that dated Norman. She started dating Harry, and Peter. She kept trying to get Peter's attention while dating Harry, and it was gross. It was gross in the comics. Even then, even as a kid, I was all like, man, why does she keep trying to get Peter's attention when she's with Harry? What the heck? So I felt that it was true to the spirit of the character at the time of the books, or at least around when the books were based. That's or
fair.
When the movie's based on the movie takes on the 60s kind of naivete.
Everybody in the comics is just whorish in general.
Everybody hooks up with everybody.
Peter is the most opposite of like the depiction in the comics versus what he is in the movie. Like, do you know how many girlfriends Peter had in high school, man?
Like a ton, right?
It's nuts, dude. Like
yeah.
Or was it college or both high school and college?
High school and college, right?
He only spent like maybe a couple issues in high school anyway.
Right.
What I was gonna say is that we talked about the Who's Who magazine that explains characters in comic books and whatever. There was one with Spider-Man, and there was a little square in the corner, a little like pop up, I guess. I don't know what they're called in magazines, but it says "catches chicks just like flies," and it lists and shows and talks about all his girlfriends.
Different age.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's
man.
a bunch. It's
true. So for me, the first movie was like, it threw me off because I no longer found myself able to love Mary Jane, and I was reminded of just how like borderline on the spectrum Tobey's portrayal of Peter Parker is, man. And it's like it's a bridge too far for me, like the way he plays that character. But he cleans it. He makes it better in the second one for sure.
I forgot how colorful these movies were.
Yes, like I was going to bring that up later.
It kind of bucks the trend at that time. Like, Blade, obviously he looks like Blade, but it's still very dark and gritty movie. The X-Men to the same extent.
X-Men's just blue, right? X-Men's just blue all the time,
with their black outfits.
And their black leather outfits.
Blue danger room, blue basement, blue X.
They made a choice. Yeah. Sam Raimi made a choice with this movie, to make it colorful. He's fighting during the daytime. He's wearing, for the most part, the suit. Like, it's not like a realistic interpretation of the suit. He's wearing the actual, red and blue tights. Like, it's and they don't look silly, like they don't.
And he chose to make New York very vibrant too, right? Like yes, Spider-Man's going out and catching criminals and stuff like that, but you also get to see a lot of the daily life of
lively
New Yorkers
city,
too.
Especially a post 9/11 New York. To see that on screen is a very
you guys remember that
thing at that time.
The original, not 9/11. I mean,
what is that? What
the posters.
I have the original video from the teaser that they had of him webbing the helicopter in between the two towers. I saved that video on my computer.
The first round of posters was Spider-Man hanging out between the two towers, and then 9/11 happened, and then they're like, we need to take these down. And so, like, if you still have one of those posters fetch a pretty penny on eBay nowadays.
Right. The movie's supposed to come out in 2001. It got pushed to
2002. Yeah.
I think it did get pushed because I think they went in and tried to remove the two towers from the movie wherever they possibly could. Yeah.
They had a bunch of scenes of him webbing around there and stuff. So
yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
Yeah, but that's what I think was the testament to that movie, though, is they chose to show New York as a very,
a character.
It is a character, and it's a very uplifting New York, right? Like, to the point where, like, in both movies, the New Yorkers rally together to help Peter or to help Spider-Man.
That's another thing I was going to talk about in the positive and negative light, but I'll wait a little bit.
No, you can talk about it. Go for it.
Sure. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in the positive light, I really enjoy those scenes. I think that's really cool when the New Yorkers kind of rally to Spider-Man's aid, because oftentimes he's like kicked around by the media, and he suffers from some severe anxiety and some severe, like, he has like an imposter syndrome almost. And that's always been really intriguing about Spider-Man. And it's cool when people that he doesn't expect kind of stick up for him. And I really appreciate those scenes. But I have a couple buddies from New York, actually. And they're always going on about, that would never happen in New York. That would never happen in New York. No, that would never happen. They wouldn't agree to keep his identity a secret. They would sell that immediately.
Can I please give a counter to your buddies?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, but I just need to let you know that my counter does require him to be on the spectrum.
Yes,
so
let's hear the counter.
So I, as a person in a wheelchair, have had the fortune of being in New York 3 times, I think, in my life. Each time I found it to be fantastic. You better believe the first time I went, I just went around looking for all the different places that Spider-Man would crawl.
I've been here.
And honestly, Spider-Man 2, the video games, or all the Spider-Man video games, helped me understand the lay of the land. It was like amazing to know how to get around Manhattan and Times Square, all that stuff.
I felt something similar with GTA,
the accessible routes.
Miami.
I didn't.
Miami and Vice City was like almost the same thing. It was crazy.
I had to figure out the accessible routes myself. But one of the things I had always heard, before going to New York is like, the people of New York are kind of rude, right? Like it's a thing that you hear. And so I totally understand that you have buddies that would say these things about that. But I would say that I have had the very opposite experience, and I fully attribute that to my disability and the appearance that, I project. So when I was at Penn Station, I needed to use the restroom. I think it was the first time I was in New York. I needed to use the restroom. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I was going to go in, and then I noticed that the handicap stall was full. So I went back outside to wait with my girlfriend at the time. It's my wife now. And so we were going to wait. And I think the janitor, or the cleaning crew that was there at the time, he saw that I went in, looked, and then left. And he got really upset. And he said, "Hey, do you need to use that stall?" And I was like, "It's okay. I can wait. It's fine." It's like, no. And then he proceeded to get super agitated with the guy that's trying to poop or pee or whatever. I don't know what he's doing in this stall. And then he was joined by several other New Yorkers that were all ready to beat the crap out of this one guy that's in the bathroom. They shamed that man out of the stall so that I could use the bathroom.
You shit with one of us, you shit with all of us.
And I
handicapped supervillain.
I tell you, I totally understand those New Yorkers that rallied for that poor disabled superhero that needed their help in that moment of crisis. I get it.
It's not like Handyman, and he wasn't wearing like a helmet or
anything. Hey, man, I'm not like Handyman either. You're here doing a podcast with me. I'm not saying he's not a smart person. I'm just saying they clearly picked up on the little subtle cues that I got from watching those movies too. Gotcha. So, I think it depends on who you are that New Yorkers can be that generous and that kind and stuff. Yeah. So,
all right. I'll keep that in mind when I go to New York.
But I've seen it firsthand. Yeah, do not use that handicap stall, Frank. They were ready to beat that man up. It was pretty impressive.
They just drag him out of there and beat him with the brick right in front of you. They're like, no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead and.
It was awkward. I was like, no, please, just it's okay. It's okay.
To comment on what Ricky was saying about the colors, like I appreciate the colors also because you see they use colors as a shorthand. Like you see Aunt May and Peter especially wearing red and blue most of the time, except when Peter is trying to hide his identity, you'll see him wearing green, and you'll also see when Harry's trying to kowtow to Norman, he wears green. But a lot of the time Harry wears blue, and sometimes he wears blue and green because he's kind of mixed. Aunt May is always wearing blue or red, and Norman's almost always wearing green, except for Thanksgiving when he wears a red tie with a blue shirt, because he's trying to hide who he is.
I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
That's cool. Yeah. Did you notice that Spidey's suit was a lot more of the red and black in the second movie when he was fighting Doc Ock on the subway? There was a lot of the black, which is kind of a tribute to the first appearance when he was wearing black, right?
Yeah. When Eric Larson, I think, is the artist that started wearing drawing him with kind of the blacker, with the blacker hue and the blue.
Yeah, he did do a lot of the black. Yeah.
Oh, we got some comments.
I know, and they're not horrible ones too.
They're not.
Not to mention that Spidey either saved them or they were watching him actively saving kids. Most decent people would help in that scenario. That is coming from born and raised New Yorker, I believe, Ian. So,
you're a New Yorker? Cool.
Ian is a New Yorker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then C. Cow Soda said, I also love how the next day we had dinner with my female friend who talked about how no one did anything when some dude kept flashing her on the subway. Oh yeah, that did happen. That was more graphic than flashing, but Lindsay likes to clean it up for the show.
Flashing Thompson?
Yeah, something like that. But
you should try flashing on the subway, Dennis, and see what happens. You'd break all the New Yorkers.
I felt very privileged to get that special treatment in New York. I felt like a real true guest, and because I got to see the best.
Yeah, you got whenever someone was in your bathroom, you called the New Yorker and you're like, hey, there's someone in my bathroom, and they're all like, where? They get a baseball bat like the Jets and the Sharks and just go in there.
I feel every now and then we get these requests, and I'm not necessarily going to do it fully, but we were just asked by a new guest on our show, what t-shirt does Dennis and Frank wearing now with full screen and standing? I'm not going to get out of the hole. Mostly I'm not going to stand because I just told a story about how I'm in a wheelchair. That's cool. You might have started typing that before I mentioned those parts. But
I
am wearing a Daredevil Man Without Pants shirt.
I'm wearing a Sailor Moon shirt.
So you Dennis is pro flashing.
Yeah, I'm doing. I gave you the best I'm going to give. I don't hold anything against you for that. It's cool. You may have just joined the show now, and thank you for showing up. Let us know if you have any questions about Spider-Man 1 and 2.
He doesn't give one shit about what Ricky's wearing.
Let's swing it over to the villains.
Yeah.
First is some Gobby, as Spider-Man calls them.
Gobby.
I like how they have nicknames like after the first fight.
What was really great about both of them is they actually don't get their names from Spider-Man.
It's from
J. Jonah Jameson. the greatest character in the Spider-Man franchise, man. He gave me life. And it's funny because you can't talk about the villains without talking about him too. Because he's the recurring villain through all 3 movies. And he's hilarious because he's always humiliated at some point or humbled in the movies. And that's why he gets to continue being the villain. Because he's not quite threatening enough to really have to go to jail or anything like that.
His first scene in the first movie was fantastic. That was like the best scene.
Oh my God. Yeah, that it broke me out of. I was kind of rolling my eyes, like I said. Like Tobey was kind of like not doing it for me this time around. And then, and then like, what is it? Like 30, 45, maybe an hour into the movie is J.K. Simmons. And talk about a breath of fresh air, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did the not actual Green Goblin, was that bug you guys?
At the time it did.
Mm-hmm.
At the time it did. But in hindsight, watching him, I just couldn't. I was just blown away by his performance. Willem Dafoe is just so amazing through that entire movie that he just sells it, man. He just sells it. And the fact that he does it all with that stupid mask on, he never takes the mask off when he's doing those scenes, like it's just, that's a testament because most people back then in 2002, even Tobey had to find stupid reasons.
Every 10 seconds he's taking off his damn mask.
Yeah. And Willem Dafoe just acted through that piece of garbage Power Rangers Spider-Man the entire time.
But it was really cool that you could see his eyes and his mouth during certain scenes.
I like the way the lenses came up and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah.
So it gave him the ability to still emote, like, facially emote.
Yeah, or say sleep. He was great, but I gotta say though, as great as he was, I think that Alfred Molina wins for one of the greatest villains ever portrayed in a superhero movie, man. Yeah. Like he was such a fully fleshed out character. Like the fact that you get to meet him at his happiest, at his peak, like when he's there with his wife about to achieve scientific greatness, like everything's coming up auto, like and he can't even see a world where anything would go wrong. And then everything comes crashing down on him. That was such an amazing villain origin story that you kind of forgive him for a lot of this crap he does. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
if I'm creating a sun, an artificial sun, I don't know if I'd do it in a building in New York.
It's not a sun. But also, blame Oscorp for that. Yeah, blame Oscorp for that. But
sorry.
What was I going to say? That I mean, they even write this kind of like ham-fisted excuse for like he's not actually fully in control when he goes bad, right? Like and that kind of absolves him of some of that sin and it allows him to more easily be redeemed at the end of the story too,
One thing I appreciate about him is that he carries the same hubris that Otto Octavius did in the comic book when you first meet him, and it's a subtle hubris in the movie, but I think it plays well for later on when he has the fall and the inhibitor chip gets broken, and then he goes full like Doc Ock, like it could work. I know it works, kind of thing. I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was a really cool nod to the comics. Same with the issue. I think it's in Amazing Spider-Man 9 or 10, where Peter gets sick and loses his powers while fighting Doc Ock. Like I thought that was a cool little nod too. There's a lot of cool nods to the source material, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, but what did you think? Like, I think that the thing I also liked more about the Doc Ock as the villain is they really played up the horror. Like I mean, it's kind of campy.
Is straight up Sam Raimi.
Yeah,
full reign.
Full Sam Raimi. That is still quite a horrific scene for a superhero movie. Like, there's so much female screaming in that whole movie.
Yeah,
like from beginning to end. It is amazing how much screaming there is in that movie, and like it's terror screaming all the time.
Us from evil.
Oh, I was talking about the second one. The second one had
I'm talking about the second one too.
The second one too, but yes, in general, there's a lot of female screaming in that movie.
Oh yeah, the second one's out of control. Like, did you know that was John Landis with the buzzsaw, like the surgery? when he's like, anybody take shop
take
class?
Shop?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's funny.
Yeah.
One thing that I two kind of fell in my esteem. Like, so one raised in my esteem because I like the craft. I think two kind of like the J. Jonah Jameson scene, I don't think was as strong as the one in the first one. But also, so the only other thing that I dinged two on was Peter's heroism when he's not Spider-Man. Yeah, he ran into the burning building, and I was cool with that. But I feel like the alley scene where that dude's getting beat up, I feel like Peter should have busted a Captain America kind of thing in that scene or something, or got him beat up instead of the other guy in that scene. So, something heroic instead of just turning around in horror.
Spider-Man at that point, right?
I gotta ask you really quick. Side note: in that second movie, when he rushes into the burning building, did you expect Doc Ock to be dressed up as an old lady?
That's what my wife and I were joking about. That we're like, "Watch out, Peter! Didn't you learn anything from the first movie?"
I was pretty surprised they doubled down on that. Like, they're like, let's do a burning building again. Like, that's expensive to do a burning building, like, so whatever. I feel you. I get it, but I think it kind of played to where he was in his character, right? Like, you could see that he was struggling with that every time. So I appreciated at least that. You got acting out of Tobey Maguire, which was
what you wanted.
I wanted that. So
my other problem. So there's two other problems that I have with it. So I'd have to give it like a 9 or maybe a 9.5 out of 10 for part 2. But the other part was when he says that T.S. Eliot is harder than advanced science. Like, I don't know why, but that line is so cringy to me. It's so bad.
It's pretty silly, and all the poetry stuff is pretty silly.
I think those are cute. I use those all the time. But the other thing is when he's on the train and he throws Peter forward, and then all of a sudden Peter's behind him. Like, I was all like, that's not how physics works. Like, if he throws Peter forward, Peter's going to be in front of him.
Blame the editors. Blame the editors for that.
Is it safe to call this Tobey Maguire Peter Parker the dumbest of the Peter Parkers?
The dumbest?
I mean,
in terms of intelligence, actual intelligence.
I guess technically, and that's only because Sam Raimi didn't have a high
that's one aspect of
his audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not really shown.
Sam Raimi didn't give credit to his audience, and so the reason they gave him organic webs is because they believed that was a bridge too far for the audience to come to. Is that this kid who got bit by a spider, who gave him all these crazy powers, and he also sews his crazy suit together, also builds
a technical genius,
builds the webs and the web shooters. Yeah, and I'm like, really, at this point, why not just be all in on this? Like, this is so at the time, I do remember it really hurting for a minute when they showed it, but Go Web Go was so funny, that whole scene. And then, at the time we had to make concessions more than we do now, right? Like, we're a lot more spoiled for like how accurate a character can be to its comic book origins now. Not to say that they're perfect still. I'd say the only one that's pretty close, and only because they get so many damn tries, is freaking Batman. I mean, we got to watch pearls hit the ground like every 5 years.
Yeah, so we got to see the Waynes die like all the time. One thing that I wanted to add to that is the most hurtful part of him having organic web shooters is that they try to make the comic books match him having organic web shooters for a little bit.
For a little while.
It was so bad. I hated that so much. They sometimes drew him with like dripping web shooters, like webbing like dripping out of his like wrists, and I'm like, this is disgusting. Why are you doing
it? It was gross, and like, you don't want to think about like, good thing that they formed on his wrists and not his butt or something like that. It's just awkward. But like, I remember that being hurtful, but I was willing to forgive it because we got so much else right, But I did think like that was kind of also. I think I would have been fine with it if it didn't become like the essential part of the story of the second one, where like his anxiety started affecting his ability to web and like that That made it gross because then I had to keep thinking about the organic web shooters all the time.
You wanted to get them Cialis or like some
and that's actually where I do have a fun rabbit hole that I want to go down with you on that one, but I think I want to do that in the soapbox. I have a what if for how I could see that movie going differently without necessarily leaning on that part so much. Okay. But I think since we do have to wrap up soon, I do have one more important question that I think is relevant to having it be on this show, because this show we're doing this because we want to get excited for No Way Home at the possibility of Tobey coming back, right? And that's why we're going to watch amazing movies next week to recap, to refresh on
phrase that Amazing Spider-Man movies.
No, the Amazing Spider-Man movies to refresh our memory of Andrew Garfield, because he might be back too. But here's the question for you guys that we're going to end on, which is, if Tobey does return, because it's still an if, it may or may not happen. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
What would you like to see happen? Like, where do you feel like, knowing that we've watched all 3 of these movies this year, and like we got to see what story arc ended, and in theory, it's going to be a way older Tobey Maguire. Well, not in theory. It's going to be a way older Tobey Maguire.
Hopefully he'll be older.
Whether or not they choose to DH him or not, that's up to them, But like, what do you guys want to see out of that?
I want him to serve as the Uncle Ben in terms of a leader, a mentory role to Tom Holland Spider-Man. I mean, it's still a little muddy on.
Do you think Tom Holland still needs mentors at this point?
Yes, because he's learning something from everybody, right?
Frank felt that. Frank felt that joke.
Oh yeah, that hurts.
It's a little muddy
about Tom Holland.
On the Tom Holland's origins, right? On when the Uncle Ben dying and when he got the powers, like where do all those fit in his personal Spider-Man story? So to have a older Peter be there and tell him like, hey, it's going to be okay, I think we'll kind of go a long way.
I disagree that it's muddy, but I do agree that it's not. It wasn't well established.
It doesn't need to be.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be. But is that something you'd prefer it to be through Tobey, through the meeting of Tobey, that he gets kind of his...
someone see he can relate that death to. Yeah. He hasn't really talked about it in the movies either. Like, subtle. You don't really see him. It's subtle, but you never see him like take it home. Mope about it. He cries over Iron Man. You haven't seen him be sad over Uncle Ben.
Okay.
I mean, they brought up Uncle Ben in What If.
True. That wasn't Tom Holland,
the first time.
It doesn't matter. It's still the character Tom Holland's playing, Okay, Frank, what do you want to see?
Spider-Man Reign. I want to see Mary Jane die from radioactive semen. No, that's not true. Actually, no. I would just want to see just like Ricky said. Actually, to be honest, just a mentor. I want to see Tobey in a kind of a Batman Beyond almost capacity, just some kind of like another mentor. Again, another mentor. But but this mentor feels more correct to have with Tom Holland Spider-Man. He doesn't really have any Spider mentors, and Peter has had several Spider tutors throughout the years. So I would like to see him in that, show him in that capacity, kind of like Peter B and Miles in Into the Spider-Verse, something along those lines. I think.
Interesting. I'm going to go in a very different direction than you guys with this. I don't need him to be a mentor. I feel like I actually almost prefer that Tom Holland finally just grows a pair on his own and doesn't need somebody to tell him how to be Spider-Man, because he's finally figured it out, because he is pretty far along compared to the other two, right? Like he's making his own suits now. He's making really cool suits, not just sewing. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. He's making gadgets for himself. So there's a scene in Spider-Verse, the comics. It's one of the side issues that's really always hilarious to me, and it's like this giant war where they've pulled together all these Spider-Men from all these universes, and they're all fighting the Inheritors, which are the bad guys in this story that are not worth explaining. And there's this really hilarious moment that's kind of like it's almost like a World War I or World War II like foxhole moment where like these two Spider-Men are like hiding behind some dirt and reloading their web shooters before they go back out into battle, right? And they start trading, like they start really quickly, like using shorthand to try and like figure out how they differ because everybody's kind of a variant, like, and so they're like, hey, did your Uncle Ben die? Yep, mine did too. Like, did you get a black suit? Yeah, symbiote, blah blah blah. They're kind of just like figuring out where they differ, and then eventually they kind of come up on the differences. But then they start talking shit about some of the other Spider-Men they've seen out there in the universe or like in battle, right? And they're like, I think I saw one that looked like that guy from Seabiscuit. And they're like, dude, I saw one that was totally that guy from The Social Network. I want something silly like that to point out the silliness of this whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, because I think this has been hyped so much that I kind of just want it to be a joke.
I mean, they got to do the pointing, right? Like
they don't gotta. That wasn't even a thing until Into the Spider-Verse, so I don't really know that it needs to be.
No, it was a meme before Into the Spider-Verse.
Like, but I mean, like, it wasn't like. Yes, it was a meme before then, but like, do they need? It wasn't. I mean, in the same way, like it was like just two regular Spider-Men, right?
Yeah, it's just.
I would rather that though. I'd rather the humor. I think I just want the humor of the situation.
If I see the pointing, I think that's my limit. If they make a joke like you described, I'm leaving. That'll be the first Spider-Man movie I walk out on in the history of ever.
You didn't like it when it was in the comic?
In the comic, I think it's fine because you can get away with more stuff like that in the comics. Because if it's not good, you could just read the next issue and they'll rehash it all in Spider-Geddon. Years from that point, where movies are concerned, like we're only going to get like one real shot at this, or maybe a couple more shots at this before they reboot it in 2 years,
and then do it again.
Yeah. So,
do you think they'll reboot it though?
Yes,
they yeah. We just discussed how
like a whole new actor.
They're going to have to at some point. Yeah. Tom Holland's going to get old.
The way I took it though is you put it on ice. And then you just do a Spider-Man movie, like an adult Spider-Man movie. The problem with
Tom Holland is he's never going to get taller. He's done growing. Like that's the problem with Tom Holland. He's like stunted.
Yeah, but he'll age up in the face, so like he'll.
Yeah, but Spider-Man gets taller. Like
it'll be like Harry Potter.
Spider-Man's not done with puberty at that point,
You'll always have your
if you can accept the 6-foot Wolverine, then I can accept.
No, I can accept.
I couldn't accept a 6-foot Wolverine.
I can accept them for 2002 or 2001. Sorry, but I don't need to now. I don't need.
Ian has the right answer. They can just do Miles.
Yeah,
I'd be cool with that.
They won't just do Miles. We'll get Peters a million times over. Also,
I'd be cool with Tom Holland passing the torch, like Tom Holland's, getting aced and just gives it over to Miles, and then Miles is the new hotness.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with him dying too. I like when Spider-Man dies. It's fun.
I'm cool with it because we've already had a pretty good run of Peter Parkers. Like I'm not normally I wouldn't normally be cool with that, but I'm cool with it now.
Yeah,
he has one more Avengers appearance, right? Like that's per his contract.
No, his contract's actually done.
Yeah,
I swore he has one more MCU appearance.
No, they have to. Yeah, it's this December. They have to. No. They have to renegotiate.
Like one Marvel MCU appearance.
Yeah, this is it. This
is it.
No, you're.
Yes.
This is a Sony movie.
No, it's a joint. It's still a Marvel.
Well, it's still a joint, but like they trade off.
Yeah, they've gotten all of the renegotiated stuff out of him, and now they have to renegotiate again if they want. That's been in the news like for a while now. Is that they have to there's a lot of rumors that this might be Tom Holland's last movie. Period. They've been hinting at that kind of thing. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's going to happen, but they have to renegotiate if they want more. But anyways, we can talk about that in December when we watch that movie and we're like, whoa, I can't believe he died. And it's like, whatever.
Oh, he died and now it's Miles and Aranya.
But we should probably wrap this up because we're a little over. This was really fun. I still have plenty of things I could talk about Spider-Man 1 and 2. They're really fun. Yeah, we're going to soapbox the crap out of this. It's going to go off the rails. It's going to go in many different directions. Frank's got a racy story he wants to tell. I got a rabbit hole I want to go down. And then who knows? Maybe we'll have some patrons joining us to chat and give their theories too.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank Ricky and Frank for nerding out with us tonight, with me tonight. You guys aren't going to do it, but feel free to take a moment to tell people where they can find you or not find you. You're not going to do it.
They can't. That's the thing.
It's fine. It's fine. You can find me and on 10X Media all over the place. Currently, I'm tracking fun, weird HasLab projects that are going on, but I'll have other stuff going up soon, like toy videos and things like that. Thanks to our patrons for supporting our growth and to our audience for tuning in. If you had fun, Frank, what can they do?
They could smash that like button the way Lucy Lawless smashed that roll in Spider-Man 1. They could also comment and subscribe.
What about Ashy Larry in Spider-Man 2?
Oh man, and Hal Sparks. Good old Hal Sparks.
Yeah. What were we saying?
Whatever happened to Hal Sparks? Where's he at now?
I don't know. And they can also find us on
Patreon, where they can give us money to get the
moments from now.
Yes. Moments from now.
Yes, we'll be on the soapbox. But yeah, I think that's. You guys got anything else to add before we go?
No.
They're dead. They're dead.
No.
All right.
No.
Thanks for watching 10 Excelsior. Have a good weekend, everybody, and see you next time, true believers.